Okay, now we're just going to finish up our email confirmation work and deploy our app to Fly.io. And we've got a few things to take care of before we get to that stage. So we're just going to open up the user store first of all, because there is something that we need to change inside our register method. And we need to think about what happens if we do get a server-side error when we do attempt to register our user, which is then going to create this. Something that occurred in testing before I got to this stage, and it's this part here, because if we get a server-side error, 500 internal server error, then we're going to throw that error back to our register component. If we go to our register form, then if we do get an error, then we're going to attempt to catch that error and then set the errors, which then causes our validation error to be shown. But if we've got a server-side error, we do not have an array of errors to look for, and it causes a weird error in our client app. So we'll need to take care of this and only throw the error if it meets a certain condition, such as the status code of the error is 400 and not anything else. So we'll check and we'll say if the error.response.status is equal to 400, only then will we throw the error, and we need to be a little bit defensive here and add the optional chaining inside there. And we'll also need to specify the error is of type any to get around the TypeScript warnings. So we're only going to throw the error if we get a 400 style error. And if we have anything else, then we're going to close the modal. So we'll say store.modal store.closeModal. And we'll just log the error to the console. But what should happen if we do get something other than a 400, then our interceptor is going to take care of it and redirect us to the place where appropriate. Now, of course, if we're looking at more strict linting rules that don't allow us to use the any type, then we need to do something different inside here. So we can remove the any type, actually, and if we take a look at what the error type is, then currently this is unknown. So we're allowed to check something that's unknown to see if it is a type of something, and then if it is, we can use this code to get hold of the response, because at the moment the property response does not exist on type empty curly brackets or just an object. So we can use a method from Axios to help us out there, or help us out here, and we can say is Axios error, and then pass in the error, and then add a double ampersand, and then the check is complete for the linting, and we pass that check, and we're making sure that this is an Axios error before we actually go ahead and use it, because now if we look at the error, we can see that this is a type of Axios error when we get to this stage, and therefore we have the response and the status code potentially available so that we can throw the error. And we also need to update our Fly.io configuration, because we've got additional things stored inside our app settings.json. So we'll open up the fly.toml, and inside the env we need to pass our non-secret value, which is the user, and the secret value we're going to need to set another fly secret. So we'll specify sendGrid as the key and user equals, and in my case this was just try catch learn, but please use your own user for this. And then we'll also need to add a new secret. So we'll open up the terminal and we'll open up a new tab inside here, and we'll specify fly secrets set, and we're going to say send grid. Please make sure this is accurate, the same as what you've used inside app settings.json to get this working. Then it's double underscore and key equals, and whatever the value is of your particular send grid key. So I'm just going to paste mine in, and that's the one that starts with SG, of course. So I'll press return, and this is going to annoyingly deploy a new version of the app again, but that won't do any harm. And in the meantime, whilst that's going under its process, what we also need to do is create a new production build of our React application. So I'm going to stop the React app, and we'll execute npm run build, and this should create a new version, a new production version of our React application, and output it into that API www root folder. And once that has completed, we'll go back to our API, and not sure why this is saying hot reload. I'm pretty sure I turned that functionality off when I started the API. But we'll restart the app anyway, and we'll say .NET watch with no hot reload and press return. And we just want to check our content security policies really. We won't worry about changing it to report only. We should see if there's any problems. And one of the things that we did have, and I'll just go to localhost 5000 to get the version of our app being served by our API, and refresh this page and go to the console. And one of the consequences of what we're doing here is when we rebuild our client application, then we've got a style source that's set to a hash. And every time we build our application, our hash of this style changes. So we have two options here really. We can use the unsafe inline keyword, which means we'll never need to worry about this particular hash again, even when we do rebuild our client app. Or every time we rebuild our client app, we come inside the console and we update our content security policy with the new hash. Now, security is always annoying, and we can be less secure and therefore less annoying if we use this approach, or we can take the safe option and just add the hash in every time that we do this. Although I have to admit, if I wasn't demonstrating this in a training course, I would probably use the unsafe inline approach, but I'm going to go for the updating the hash. So I'll open up the program class, and where we've got our hash here, and it was full of fonts, I believe. So, oh, it says it's full of fonts, but this is actually a style. It's a style source rather than a font source. So we need to do it in the style sources, and that's where our previous hash was actually. So we'll change this one and we'll replace it with the new one. And if we go back to the browser and refresh the page, what we should find is that that warning has now gone away. So something to think about every time you create a new version of your production build. So now we've confirmed that, we'll then redeploy our app, and we'll go to our commits, and we'll stage our changes into source control, and we'll just give it a commit message of email confirmation complete, and we'll commit these and we'll sync these changes up with GitHub. But this is a commit on our email confirmation branch, so it doesn't cause a redeployment of our app. We need to merge our changes in with our main branch. So we'll head over to the terminal once again, and we'll go to the other tab, make sure our deployment completed successfully, which it did do. And we'll check out our main branch once again, and we're going to merge our changes from the email confirmation branch. So we'll say git merge email confirmation and press return. And then all we need to do now to redeploy our app is just say git push origin main and press return, and this is going to kick off the workflow to then go ahead and redeploy our app to Fly.io. Of course, this is going to take a minute or two, so I'll pause the video and come back once this has completed. Okay, so once that's completed successfully, we can then go and test our new functionality, and we'll go over to our application that now should have the new functionality that we have enabled. So if I click register, and let's just refresh the page first of all, and click register, and we'll just add a display name. I'll just say test 1000 this time. I've done many tests, so I'm pretty sure I haven't used 1000 yet. And we'll go to 10-minute mail again, and we'll just get another email address and copy this one to clipboard. And hopefully you've got a better ad blocker than I do, because mine is not working on that site at all. And I'll add the password, and we'll click register, and we should be taken to our successfully registered and check our inbox. So let's head over to 10-minute mail, and this will probably take a minute or two to come through. So once again, I'll pause the video and come back once that email is received so we can confirm this is working. And eventually we get the email through saying, please verify email. So I'll click on this. And inside here, then we can see our links. Doesn't come out so well at the moment inside this inbox reader, but we can get the URL from this by clicking on the URLs tab. And then it should just be a case of clicking on this particular link. We get taken to our email verification. Email has been verified, so you can now log in. So I'll log in and paste in the email and the password. And we should be in. And indeed I am with Test 1000, and we've confirmed our email. And this brings us to the end of the Identity Cookbook, and I hope you found this section useful. And now you have email confirmation enabled. This opens up other features that you can experiment with, such as what to do if a user has forgotten their password, because now you've got the ability to send them a token that will allow you to take them to a forgot password component, for example, and actually allow them to reset their password. I won't demonstrate that. I'll leave that for you to experiment with, and like I say, I hope you found this particular section of some use to you, but that's all I have for the time being.